Hello and welcome back to the Huntsman tutorial video series. In this video we will be discussing the different parts you will need and the tools that you will need to build this controller. And with that said, let's get started. And let's get started with the tools. First thing that you will need for this project, of course, you need a 3D printer, minimum of a 210 by 210 millimeter build plate size. Just because the very largest part of the print is going to be around 200 millimeters in length. So if you don't have that size, then you won't be able to print those parts out. Next thing that you will need is a 2mm Allen key screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver, pliers, wire stripper, crimping tool right here, and a soldering iron right here. The next one, of course, some materials you will need is also a solder wire, zip tie, super glue, and these ones are optional. So it's a plastic pry tool, this guy right here. You will need this for pulling out keycaps if you need to, and this one as well, a key puller, which is used for pulling mechanical key switches. So you might also want to have this, but it's not a requirement, but it's really handy to have it. And a multimeter to make sure, test some connections out if you need to, if you want to make sure before you're closing up the whole controller. This will be handy, but then again, it's optional. So yeah, let's move on to the 3D printed parts. Okay, so for this part is going to be this section right here. For the start, it's going to be top Huntsman L, which is this guy right here, the top piece left side. Next one is top Huntsman R, which is the top piece right side. So here I'm just arranging it as you will be putting them together like this. Next one is the menu, Huntsman menu, top Huntsman menu, and it's going to be going on this side right here, like that. And the next one is top Huntsman JS, which stands for joystick. So this is where the joysticks are going to be sticking out. And next one are the top joiners, which is these four pieces right here, these guys. So it's going to be coming in on the bottom side of these controllers, on these parts. So I'll be showing how these all connects together on the next video, which is the assembly of this 3D printed part. So let's move on to the next part of this section. It's going to be the base. So for this part right here, we got base mid, this guy, and the next part we have base L, which is this one. And then next we have base R, so like that. And the next one we have base joiners, left and right base joiners L and R. So it's gonna be coming in like this and like this, which is you're gonna be super gluing them all together, which I'll be showing on the next video. So it's not that hard really. This is the only part that will require like super glue for this build. So it should be pretty straightforward once we get to that part. And we'll move on to the next section, hardware. So for hardware, you will need these guys right here. For the first part, you need an M3 by 5 millimeters by 4 heat set inserts. So for that one, what's it measuring is the M3, which is the thread on the inside, and then 5 millimeters. And then for the 4 millimeters, it's referring to the diameter of this base barrel right here. I mean, it's not really focusing, isn't it? But yeah, it's the this bottom portion right here is it's measuring as 4 millimeters. So there's that one. And then we have M3 hex socket screws, 20 millimeters right here. And then next one is M3 5mm flathead screws, which is just this one right here. So we're going to be using that for securing a couple PCBs. And then next one that we have is M2 by 3mm heat set insert, and then OD is 3mm. Basically it's the 4mm here, but it's 3mm on the barrel, on the bottom barrel, that's why. So it's just a smaller heat set insert. Next one is M2 by 3mm screw, these guys right here. Okay, and then next one is, I included this in the hardware tab just because I don't have any other spot for it. But anyways, these are the rubber grip pads that you're going to be needing on the bottom. These are just what do you call this? These are just rubber tape grips that I bought from Amazon, and then I punched them out with a circle punch. So with a 1-inch circle punch. So this will be the one that will be sticking onto the bottom of our controller so that it doesn't slip around when it's like moving, or when it's in use on a table. So yeah, let's move on to the next section. Okay, for the button section here are the tools that you will need. So for the first part, I listed it as a Gateron baby kangaroo switch, but in reality you can just use whatever mechanical switch that you want. That is a MX style switch. So whatever you want for this part, you have your own free choice on that one. So you will need these, a mechanical switch, and then next one is the Huntsman buttons plunger. So it's all 3D printed parts as well. This one it's just a lot because I have them ready for like a couple builds. So but in reality you just need 4 of these guys, which is the arrow keys, the directional keys right there. And then the next one is the face buttons right there. If you want to, you don't need to print the ones that has engraving. There are ones that are also just blank on the file set, so you can pick that too. And then these guys right here with the bumps, these are the ones that we're going to be using for the shoulder buttons for R1, R2, L1, L2, and it has these special bumps right here. So it's going to be a 2-piece part. So you're going to be printing the base first, and then the fill, which is this one, the bump, that you will be super gluing onto each other after you print them both, and you're going to be needing 4 of these guys. So next one, this one I would say is an optional part of it, but it's really, I highly recommend that you use this. It's a PCB that will be used on the back side of the top plates, and these will be the ones that we're going to be using to connect all the mechanical switches together to the wiring that we're going to be using. So you'll be able to order this from PCBWay, and I'll be sharing the links for it for when it's up. As you can see right now, it's blank on here, but yeah, that's where it's going to be linked on for PCBWay. And yeah, like I said, it's an optional part, but I highly recommend you buy this, because if not, you're going to be hand wiring each of the buttons like manually. So I mean, I'll show you how to do that still, but yeah, if you don't want to use this, it's okay, but I highly recommend that you get them. So next part that you will need are the Kahil hot swap sockets, these guys right here. So it's keyboard switch socket, hot swap sockets that you're gonna be sticking with the keyboard, either like this to connect it, like so. Okay, and then your wires go into here and into these points right here and here, or it's gonna be coming on to the PCB like this. Yeah, and then you can connect, and then you can attach it to the mechanical switches. So okay, so there's that. Put this back. Okay. Now next one is JSTXH 5-pin right angle, which is this guy right here. So as you can see there, it's not the ones that just goes out straight, it goes upwards. It's a 90-degree one, 5-pin JSTXH. And next one is the corresponding 5-pin female counterpart of it. So this is where the wires are going to be attached. And next part is the 2-pin female or 2-pin male right angle, which is this one. So it's just like the other one right here over there, but it's 2-pin. And of course the corresponding female side of it. Okay, this one right here, JST-XH female, and the corresponding wire crimps right there. Next one is the 12mm push buttons. So this one is also just from AliExpress or Amazon. You can get that there too. Just make sure to get the ones that has the screw-on terminals right here, because if not, if you just get the pin style ones, you're gonna be soldering your wiring directly onto it, because there's not going to be anything that's holding it besides your solder joints. So I recommend something like this with the screw-on terminals. Sorry. So that you could just open up these screw terminals, put your wires in, and then tighten them back down, and then it's not gonna be going out anywhere. So yeah. Next one is heat shrink tube. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next part for the joysticks. Actually, hold on before I move on to that. Here is a put together PCB for these guys right here. So once you put on the Cahill hot swap sockets on them, you're gonna end up with these guys right here, and of course the JST connectors. So yeah, just wanted to show that off. So yeah, okay, let's move on. All right, for the joystick portion, you will need PS5 Hall Effect joysticks right here, or whatever PS5 joystick that you have. It doesn't need to be a Hall Effect, but it is highly recommended you use Hall Effect just in case, so that you have the best kind of joystick that you can get in the market right now currently. And the next one is the joystick breakout board. This one is a custom PCB that I designed also, just like the buttons PCB. This one is not optional. You will need this definitely. So this one is also going to be ordered from PCBWay, just like the other one. I will be listing the links for it once it's up. So yeah, as you can see, it's still blank right there too, but anyways, that will be there once it's ready. And then the corresponding pin that you will need for it is another JST-XH connector. It's going to be going on here like so, like that. And of course the pairing JST-XH 5-pin female side for it. And next one is the thumbstick cap. This one is just from AliExpress as well. I got this as a replacement thumbstick cap for a PS5 controller. So link is gonna be right here too, just like the rest of the stuff. And yeah, and when you put them all together, this is what it looks like. So let me just take this off, and as you can see, the joystick is right on the PCB, and then the 5-pin JST-XH is right there. So yeah, this is what it's gonna look like for when it's all put together. So let's move on to the next two parts, which is gonna be either this route or this route. This is where it kind of splits up, because you'll be needing, based on your choices, which one you need. You will need either this, or you will need this. So if you want the GP2040 setup, you will be needing these guys, and if you need the Brook setup, you'll be needing these guys. So yeah. All right, and so let's start with the cheaper option, which is gonna be this guy right here for the GP2040 route. For the first part, of course, you will need the PCB, which is an RP2040 Pro Micro, which is this guy right here. And once you get it, you'll be getting the PCB and the pins that you'll be needing for it. So you'll be soldering this all together, which I'll be showing on the next video too. So this one is the RP2040 Pro Micro. It needs to be the Pro Micro version, because that's the one that has the analog pins that we'll need for this controller. So yeah, so there's that. That's the main PCB that we'll use, and then some 26 gauge wires or 28 gauge wires. These guys right here, these are the stranded wires. I should also I should also emphasize that you need stranded wires, because if you get the single core wires, it's not going to work out nicely. Those are just going to snap off, so stranded wires works better for these ones. So it doesn't need to be all these colors, I just happen to have a black one and a red one. So next one is straight DuPont female connectors, which is these guys right here. So it's just these DuPont connectors right here, single pin, one pin. So yeah, and then we'll need, of course, the corresponding crimps for them, which is this one. And next part is a USB-C to USB-A dongle, which is this one. This is what we're going to be using on the upper side of the controller, so that we can connect it, so that we have a port to connect it to once we put it all together. So this will be the one that will act as our pass-through. So yeah, and then we need a short USB-C to USB-A cable, and this one is what we're going to be using to connect the PCB to the pass-through right here. So we're going to be coming on here and going on to the other side here. Okay, so next one is, it's a 6 foot USB-A to USB-C. It's just this one, but it's longer, so that's what we're going to be using to connect the controller to the computer or the console that you're going to be using this onto. And then of course it's going to be, next one is going to be a 3M double-sided tape. Where do I have that? Here. So I don't have a small roll, so I just have this massive roll of 3M tape. So it's just a double-sided tape. We're going to be using it to stick this down onto the controller, which is also what we're going to do, which is also what I'm going to show off on the next video for the assembly. Well, not the whatever, it's not the next video, but it's gonna be the next few videos after this. But anyways, yeah, I'm just rambling. So yeah, this is gonna be used, this 3M tape is gonna be used for that, and that should be it for the GP2040 route. We'll move on to the Brook route. And okay, for the GP2040 Gen 5X route right here, this is gonna be the build that is gonna be compatible for PS5. So for this one, you will be needing a Gen 5X. So a Gen 5X, Brook Gen 5X. This one is still sealed, so okay. Then 28 gauge wires. Actually, I should be opening this one and showing off what the what that PCB would look like actually. So let me just open that up. Okay. And here's that PCB. Okay, nice and clean. So this is what we're going to be using for that. Just put that there. And next one is, of course, the wires that I talked about earlier. 28 gauge wires, stranded wires. Right there. Any color would work, just like what I said earlier. And then what you're going to be using as well is a JST PH 4-pin female connector. For the touchpad key. We're only going to be needing one wire from this, but we need this to connect it to, I think it's this portion right here, this slot right here. We need a 4-pin JST PH connector. So there's that, and of course the corresponding crimps for it, which is this one. And just like earlier, we have a USB-C to USB-A dongle that we're going to be using as the pass-through for our controller. And then this 1 foot USB-B to USB-A connector right there. We're going to be using this for connecting the PCB here, right there, onto the pass-through, like so, right there. Okay. Okay, just like that. And then 6 foot USB-A to USB-C, we're just going to be using that to connect the controller to the console or the PC that we're going to be using this on. And then of course a 3mm or a 3M double-sided tape. Where'd that go? 3M double-sided tape, big roll. So we're going to be using that to stick this onto the enclosure itself, onto the case, so that we can secure it down. Oh, and then this one is also pretty important. Let me just grab that. Hold on. Okay, it's these guys right here. So these are jumper pins that you can get from Amazon. So you'll need this to make the analog stick functionality of this PCB to work. So which is just going to be something that we put onto these two pins right here. I'll be showing this on the tutorial later too, but I'm just going to be putting that there for now just to show how it works and why it's important. So yeah, so this one, it can be optional too, because you can also just make DuPont connectors from it, where you just loop it all together so that it bridges these two pins. So it is important, but you can also just make one for yourself if you don't want to buy these guys right here. So it's handy to have them, but you know, anyways. And of course, straight DuPont connectors, female, and the corresponding crimps for it. So there's that. So yeah. Okay, and with all that said, that should be it for all the parts that you will be needing to build this controller. And once you get that all put together, you should be ending up with something that looks like this. So yeah, we'll be moving on to the next part of the video tutorial series, which is going to be, I believe it's going to be the assembly of the 3D printed part, where I'm going to be showing off how to put on the heatset inserts and everything that you'll need so that the 3D printed parts are complete. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.